Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Jessie, and today I'm bringing you Bookmas Day 3, which is all my winter book recommendations. And in perfect holiday fashion, I am a little sick. If I sound a little nasally, I'm so sorry. I have all my young adult holiday reads that I'm going to be talking about first. So first up, I have Let It Snow. This is by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. This is a collection of 3 different holiday romances, each written by one of these authors, and they all connect in some sort of way. I absolutely love this. When I went into this, I totally ignored the 3 holiday romances on the front, and I was just going into it thinking that it was one full-length novel, but it's not. It's split up into 3 different parts. I love this book so much. It gave me the perfect vibes for the winter season. We're dealing with a group of young adults and them developing new friendships and relationships. The first story I really liked the best. I liked the characters that we were focusing on in that one. It's this girl who is out in her neighborhood. There's a huge snowfall that comes, so everybody's kind of trapped in their town and their house. She meets this stranger and they kind of venture out into the snow and go on this adventure, and then it leads them to going to a Waffle House, and they're on the highway and their car's getting stuck, and there's just a lot going on, and they meet new people. I think they end up at like a pet store one time. They find a animal or something. There's just a lot of fun, chaotic things going on in this book. All 3 stories did connect. They're not completely separate from each other, so it's nice to see them tie in together and have all these characters relate to each other in a way. Definitely a top book recommendation for me if you have not read this yet. Next up, we have The Chaos of Standing Still by Jessica Brody. This is about our main character, Rin. She gets trapped in the Denver airport, which is that the airport that people have like conspiracy theories about? If that's the case, that's pretty funny that this book takes place in that airport. But she is trapped there. There's this huge blizzard that comes in and locks everybody into this airport. Their flights are canceled. They have to wait overnight until they can get on the next plane. And of course, while she's there, she meets this stranger named Xander. They basically run into each other, and they spend the whole entire night just talking to each other, getting to know each other, doing crazy shenanigans that young people would do when they're trapped in an airport. Not those types of shenanigans, don't go that way. I'm talking about just like fun things. They're like running around the airport and getting up to no good. There was another storyline to it. It's on the back of the book, which seemed like it was going to be the main thing. Our main character lost her best friend recently, and she's dealing with that grief. So this does have deeper elements to it with the loss of a person in your life. Just be aware of that if you're getting into this, but it is very light and fluffy on the romance aspect. While she's also in her grief stage, she's allowing herself for the first time to just have a little bit of fun and find that little slice of happiness. So this is also another wholesome read. I definitely recommend this. I love books, especially holiday books, where characters are stuck in a certain area and they have to stay together for a certain period of time. I don't know why I love it so much, but this is one of those books. Now we have The Holiday Switch by Tiff Marcello. This is a super short book, so if you're looking for something very quick, easy read, highly recommend this one. Our main character, Lila, she works in this bookstore. Her boss is the sweetest person ever, and her nephew, Teddy, ends up coming to work in this bookstore as well for the school holiday vacation or whatever. Lila and Teddy don't really get along at first. They have their feuds with each other. They butt heads with their work ethics. Teddy's kind of lazy, doesn't really want to do anything, and Lila is very hardworking, so she doesn't like the way that he works, and they just have their arguments with each other. But after a busy day of working at the bookstore, they end up accidentally switching phones with each other. Now they have access to each other's messages and everything, and of course they're gonna look because they're nosy. Who wouldn't, you know? They end up finding out some secrets about each other, and it just leads them to grow their story. I think this is perfect for the holiday season. It's very, very holiday themed. They're decorating the bookstore for the holiday season. There's all these people coming in for this tourist attraction. It's just very, very fun. That is it for my young adult romance winter themed books. Now we're gonna move on to the adult portion. First up, I have Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. This is another quick read. It's less than 250 pages. Is this gonna be the best holiday book that you have ever read? Not at all. I don't think that this is something extravagant, but I am just recommending it if you want something quick to squeeze in before the holiday. If you're running a little bit behind on your reading and you want to just get a quick book in there to get into the holiday spirit, this one would be perfect for you. This is about a main character, Stella. She walks by this department store and she sees the window, and there's this guy, Aiden, out there who is trying to figure out how to decorate the window. She's giving him suggestions on how to decorate this window. He ends up hiring her to work at the store. That's pretty much the basis of this. She ends up really showing her true colors and her talent with window decorating and having this good vision and being a good designer. And of course, this is a romance, so her and Aiden develop their relationship over the course of this novel. And it's also really nice because you're getting a main character who is finding something out about herself, or she's really diving into her creative side and what she really wants to do and what makes her happy. So that's a really nice aspect of this book because you're getting your romance while also getting that development of a character on the side. It's just a nice, fun, quick read. Now we have The Book Club Hotel by Sarah Morgan. This is set in the wintertime, of course. Look at this cover. It's so cute. I love her cover so much. Our main character, Hattie, was married to this guy named named Brent. They own this inn together, and he unfortunately passed away not too long ago. Now she's dealing with running this inn by herself while also dealing with the loss of her husband, and it's really affecting her. She's not doing well. She doesn't really have any help to run this inn. She's overwhelmed because the holiday season is coming up. There's a lot of tourists that are going to be coming there. She just feels completely lost and she doesn't know what to do. But she moves on. She continues to work at this inn. And this group of women who are part of a book club, they stay there and they're having their book club in this room in this inn. And Hattie kind of observes them a little bit. She's watching them, not in a creepy way, but just because she's there and they're there talking about their books. And she's noticing a lot about them. She's noticing that some of them probably have secrets with each other and they're not fully being honest with each other. Hattie ends up getting into this group as well, or kind of slowly getting her way in there, and they're welcoming her and they form this friendship. They start to open up to each other about what they've been keeping a secret. This book is a great read on women and their friendship and how you can empower the other women in your life. This was one of my favorite reads of last year. I feel like it's more of a sad read. It's not super fluffy, holiday themed, but it's definitely a good read for the winter season. Then I have Forever Never by Lucy Score. I'm recommending this just because it's set in Mackinac Island in the wintertime, so there's a ton of snow. But our main characters, Brick and Remy, do live on the island. If I remember correctly, Remy moved to Chicago because she was an artist, and now she is coming back to Mackinac because she had a lot going on, and there's some creepy dude that is stalking her in a way and trying to ruin her career. And as always with Lucy Score's books, if you have not read any of her books, she usually has a mystery element besides the romance. So that's where the mystery comes in. We're trying to figure out who is attempting to sabotage Remy's life. She goes back to Mackinac Island, and Brick is very protective. They knew each other for the longest time growing up. They kind of had feelings for each other back then. They didn't really do anything about it, and now they're back and they have their chance to grow their relationship and get together finally. This is just a nice winter themed book. It definitely puts you in the winter mood because there's a ton of snow and they're stuck there. Now we have Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison. This is the first book in the Love Light series. I've talked about this series many times on my channel. This book specifically, I didn't absolutely love. I think I gave it like a 2.75, which probably doesn't seem like a good rating, but I do recommend the series as a whole. You don't have to read this one, but I do highly recommend reading the series in order. Each book takes place in a different season. This is the winter book, of course. Our main character, she's running Love Light Farms. It's a good tourist attraction. It's in a small town. She just really wants to make it something special for people to come during the winter time and have fun and do their winter activities. There's a social media person coming to do a little feature on her farm. She wants to make it super romantic, so she doesn't have anybody right now, but she has this best friend that she's had for a while though, named Luca. They start fake dating because she wants this social media person to know that this farm is full of love and romance and people can come here to experience that as well. If you have any intention to read the series, you better start now because these are season themed, so if you want to read the whole series, I think you should read them in order. So start with this one. It's wintertime. Don't wait on this. Lastly, for the holiday / winter themed recs, we have With Love from Cold World by Alicia Thompson. I read this book last year, or did I read it this year? I might have read this in January. I don't remember. It's been a long time, but I absolutely love this book. I gave it 5 stars. I love the writing so much. It was very atmospheric. I love the story of this. I loved our characters. We have Lauren and Asa, and they both work at this place called Cold World. It's a tourist-themed attraction in Florida. Obviously, Florida's not getting any snow. This company is making a makeshift winter wonderland for these tourists to come in and experience winter in Florida, which is such a good idea. I think it's super sweet. So there's a lot of just fun things you can do in this place, but it is kind of falling off. Not a lot of people are going there anymore. The boss or the CEO of this company is wanting the employees to try to come up with ideas on how they can make this place better and get more tourists in here. Lauren and Asa end up working together on this project to bring their ideas together and really amp up Cold World. This also has a lot of elements to life itself and what people deal with in their life. It's a very sweet read. I love when we deal with books that are happy and light and fluffy on some aspects, and then we go deeper into an emotional level. This author put them together so well. They were able to intertwine everything and come up with a great story. If you choose any book out of all the ones I just recommended, please pick this one. Next up, I'm going into literary fiction. This is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This is dark academia and mystery, and I think any of those elements are perfect for the wintertime. This deals with a group of college students who are very much fans of Shakespeare. They do a whole bunch of Shakespearean plays together, and they just have this great friend group, but suddenly one of them ends up getting murdered. This book starts off with one of our main characters, Oliver. He is freshly out of jail. He went to jail because apparently he was the one who murdered said person. As you go through this book, you realize that may not be the case. So you're getting this past-present timeline. You're going through this whole plot line and getting those slices of truth along the way, and it's set up so well. I think if you love Shakespeare, you're really gonna love this. I unfortunately don't, and I still love this book, and the ending of this was so perfect. This is such a good book. Definitely try this out if you want to. If you're intimidated by it a little bit, just go for it. Then we have Before Before the Coffee Gets Cold. This is part of a series. This is the first book. I have not read any of the other books yet, but I really want to. This is also a super short book. It's only 100 some pages. But in this coffee shop, there's one seat where you can sit in it and it will take you back in time and you can relive a moment of your life. You slowly realize that you can't go back in time and change anything. You can't go back in time, but everything is going to stay the same. It just makes you look at life differently. You have a lot of different characters that are sitting in this chair using this as an opportunity to go back and spend time with a person that they may not have anymore, or go back to a situation that they think they ruined. It's super wholesome. It makes you think about life. It makes you think about the time that you have and how limited it is. This is such a good read. I definitely think everybody should read this. This is also Japanese translated, so if you're looking for a book that has been translated from another language, this is for you. Now, Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This is a trilogy. I love this so much. This one, of course, is not really winter themed, but I read it in the winter time, and anytime I read a book that I really love during a certain season, I recommend it for that season. I think a lot of people do that. It's so weird how we do that, but it just makes sense. This is a young adult sci-fi about our main character who is a part of the evil people. And then we have the Renegades who are the good people. Everybody in this world has their unique powers. If you've seen My Hero Academia, this has the same aspect as to where each character has their unique little quirk. And it's super fun to figure out how all these characters use their ability to deal in a fight. It's so interesting that we have our main character who is on the villain side, and then she kind of goes into a spy aspect with the Renegades. She's working for them and she's on their side, but not really. She's still part of the villains. But she slowly starts to realize that maybe they're not all that bad. She's also trying to get revenge on something that had happened in her past, so that's why she's not a fan of the Renegades. It's super fun. Love the characters. Very fast paced. I know these books look a little big, but they're very quick to go through. This is one of my favorite trilogies. I love Marissa Meyer as an author, and I would recommend any of her books. Now we have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I don't remember if this is young adult or if it's new adult. It says two young magicians, Celia and Marco, so I feel like this is more of a new adult look. I read this years ago. I don't really remember anything about this book, but I remember that I gave it 5 stars, and I really like the vibes of this. A lot of people describe this as more vibes than plot, which is not something I normally like unless I really like the vibes and the characters. And apparently I did. I want to reread this book sometime next year, maybe. This is about a circus that just pops up. Behind the scenes, we have Celia and Marco, who are our two magicians. They are essentially competing with each other, but little do they know that only one of them is going to be left standing. This is also a romance. I obviously can't talk about this too much because I read it years ago and I need to reread it again. I will be doing that at some point. If you guys could read this book and give me your thoughts on it, make me have motivation to reread this, you'll be doing me a solid. Going into adult fantasies, I have One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is the Shepherd King duology. I also read these in the wintertime, so of course I would recommend them during this season, but they do also give off the atmospheric winter vibe. This duology is pretty popular, so I'm sure a lot of people have read this already, but if you have not and you are looking for a good time to read this, definitely read it now. This is about our main character Elspeth, and she has this monster in her head that she is trying to get out. So she keeps hearing this voice, and this magic world is very unique. There's 12 cards that have magical powers. They have different magical powers. There's certain people that are holders of specific cards. In this case, Elspeth is trying to get this monster out of her head, and she goes along this journey of trying to find all 12 of these cards to do a certain thing to get this monster out of her head. Very fun. Very unique, very atmospheric. Love the characters. I think it's very well written, and these are some of my favorite books. Last but not least, I have When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. This is book 1 of the Moonfall series. This is a very long fantasy. I love this book though. I love the writing in this. It's more of a flowery writing or a poetic writing. If that's not for you, then I wouldn't recommend reading this because that takes up a lot of the book. But this is also a fantasy that has a very unique world. There's a whole glossary in the front that has all the definitions of these terms that you are going to be experiencing along the way. Our main character Rave is an assassin, but she ends up meeting this guy. This is a fantasy romance, so of course you're gonna get that dude in here that we fall for. And there's just so much to this. You don't really get a complete understanding of the world in this one just because it's so intense and intricate, but you get the main plot line. I don't know how many books this series is going to consist of. The next one is coming out in October. The author is spending a long time with these, and I love that because that means that these books are probably going to be so good every time we get a release. But if you're looking for a very unique world, dragons, a little bit of a higher stake, a mystery element, I highly recommend this one. Those are the books that I think you should read. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that I gave you some good book recommendations. If you read any of them, feel free to let me know what you thought about them. And if you have read them, let me know if you would also recommend them to people. But that is it for day 3 of Bookmas. I hope you have a great day or a great night wherever you are, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.